Hi everybody, I am Bruce McCord, and today I'm going to show you how to do a jar test. Now you may already be familiar with the jar test, but for those who don't know, the basic soil jar test is a way to determine the type of soil you have, whether you have a sandy soil, a clay soil, just what type of soil you have can be determined easily with a simple jar test. First, you're going to need a jar. I like a wide mouth quart-sized mason jar. You could use a peanut butter jar, a mayonnaise jar, any clear jar, it really doesn't matter, but I like around about the 1 quart size. You're going to need a couple of buckets and some water. You're going to need some powdered dishwasher detergent. We'll get to that in a minute. And some form of sieve strainer type thing. You can just take the screen off your door if you wish, only if it has a metal screen and only when your wife isn't watching. So the first thing you're going to need to do is get your soil sample. Take your bucket, go into your garden, and dig off the top layer of growth. I mean, if you're looking at an area of lawn, get rid of the grass. If there's anything growing, get rid of that. And then just dig down a couple inches, throw it in the bucket. Do this at several points around the garden. Take several samples, get it all into the bucket, mix it up really well. Then you're going to go through and pull out all the big chunks. I mean, there's always, you're going to find, there's always rocks. You're going to find things like there's a bottle cap, there's an old screw. You never know what's going to come up in a shovel of dirt. Sometimes there's a tennis ball that was in there, and there's a ball hitch. Yep, there's another rock, and there's there's it. Old lawnmower blade. Once you get all the trash out, mix that up really well. Now, at this point, you could just take all this, crumble it up really well, and throw it into your jar. But I have found from experience, you do a lot better if you run it through some kind of a screen. Now, this is just a cheap strainer that I bought at the department store. You could take a screen, you could take anything really, but and this part isn't really necessary, but you'll get a much better, much more clear result if you strain this. So, where are my gloves? There's my gloves. I'm going to put on some gloves, not because I'm afraid of getting my hands dirty, but because I don't want to grind off the tip of my fingers on the strainer. Also, you're going to want to make sure you've got a nice dry soil for this. I tried doing this the other day when the soil was a little muddy, and I ended up with nothing but a clogged up strainer. So dry soil is the best. If it's been raining, just put the soil in your bucket, wait a few days, it'll dry out. So you're going to take your soil, put it into the strainer, and just work it through. See, it's ideally you want it to go into the bucket, but just so you can see. You see, by running it through the strainer, you're going to get all these little twigs and little pieces of rock and all that out, which would throw off your sample. Okay, now, once you've got enough of it sifted, you got to put it into your jar. All right. You're going to want to fill your jar till it's a little more than half full. I'm at about the 16-ounce mark, which we're not going to go all the way to the top, so that's about right. So then, as I said, this will end up working a lot better if you put some powdered dishwasher detergent in. Now, I've read that you can use like just regular dish soap or even liquid detergent. I guess maybe you could use laundry detergent, I don't know. But most of what I've read from the universities say to use powdered dishwasher detergent. Well, I went and looked the other day at the stores, and powdered dishwasher detergent is getting hard to come by. Everybody's gone to the little pods, which that's what I use, is these little pod things here. But This pod here, which one I got from, under the kitchen sink, it's got 3 little liquid gel packs on it, but the primary makeup of it is powdered detergent inside of that pod. So I'm just going to cut this open, and that's about how much you want. They say a big spoonful. That's probably about a big spoonful. We're just going to cut this open and drop it down inside there. So let's see how it works. The trick of it's going to be to cut through the gel pack to get the powder out, but not to puncture the little liquid packs. Yeah, I think that's going to work just nice. All right, now all that remains is to add the water. I like to go to just about where the curve starts on the jar. The jar starts to curve in right about here, and that's about what I've got it to. Now, what you're going to want to do next is put your lid on, give it a good shake, and see if you need to add more water. You very well may. So we're going to shake this up real nice. And we got a pretty good slurry there, but once we shook it up, our level dropped all the way down to here. So we're going to put a bit more water in there. Put the lid back on and shake. Now, you're going to want to shake this for about 3 minutes or so, just to make sure that everything's good and dissolved and the clay is separated from the silt and all that. All right, now that we have this good and shooken up, shooken up. Shooken? Is shooken a word? Today, shooken is a word. Now that we have this all good and shooken up, we're going to set it someplace and let everything settle. And we'll take a few measurements as it goes, and here in about 24 hours, we'll know what kind of soil we have. Okay, now we've gotten to kind of a chicken and egg scenario. If you're watching this video because you clicked the link in the garden calculator, then you've got the garden calculator and you're good to go. If you are watching this video because you found it some other way, then you're going to need the garden calculator. You can get that by going to brucemccord.com, and there's a link right there that'll show you how to get it. Now, once you've downloaded the calculator, open it up, and it'll come to this screen right here. Click on the tab here that says Jar Test, and then you just enter the numbers. At the top, that's your clay, which for our test was 10 millimeters. The middle one is the silt, which in our test was 58 millimeters. And the bottom is your sand, which for us was 30 millimeters. And then click Calculate, and that gives you the percentages. So that particular soil sample was 10.2% clay, 59.2% silt, and 30.6% sand. And that plots out on the chart over here, right there as a silt loam. There you go. It's a lot easier than doing the math by hand. There you go. That's how easy it is to do the basic jar test. This will help you know what kind of soil you have so you can plan your garden a little bit better. The only difficult part is the math, and I made that easy for you by making the calculator. And I forgot to mention, that's completely free. Just go to brucemccord.com, and there you go. Until next time.